Those alive during 9/11, what was the worst moment on that day? When the second plane hit, and it became evident that this was not an accident. All the footage of people jumping. My dad was a bartender in Fairfield County, CT, near a train station, and said the cars left there in the parking lot was sad. Then some his regulars stopped showing up. Eventually he found out they were gone. The hours before I knew if my mom was dead or alive. They wouldn't let us leave the school, and I didn't have a phone. From our school we could look out the window and see the smoke. Some people saw the second hit. Finally they couldn't hold us any longer and I ran home. Mom was asleep and didn't even know what had happened. She had taken me to school, then decided she was going to take the day off and went home to nap and just slept all day. My high school was on the flight path for an Air Force base. Hearing the entire squadron of fighter jets take off in quick succession in a way that they had never done before and not knowing why was absolutely unnerving. Watching on television as people in the towers looked at their options and chose to jump. Absolutely heartbreaking. A phone call from the mother of my lifelong best friend telling me that he had been killed at the Pentagon that day. When the first tower fell, the feeling of absolute dread and horror knowing how many lives were ending at that moment. The second one falling just felt like the end of the world, and in many ways it was. The world we lived in changed dramatically and immediately. An acquaintance of mine was a medical resident on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The hospitals went into emergency triage mode, prepping for an onslaught of injured survivors, thinking there would be huge overflow from closer hospitals. And it was just silent. There were no survivors to send to their way. That's when she realized the unprecedented devastation of the attack. I lost my sister-in-law in the North Tower, 96th floor, Susan Ruggiero. It was horrible. We never forgot that day. The loss of one life affects so many. When I found out that my roommate's dad died in the second tower. He had gone down to the skydeck after the first plane hit, but they gave the all clear, so he went back up to his office thinking he would be okay because he was there in 1993 during the car bomb attack in the garage. Then the second plane hit, trapping him. I was living in Okinawa when it happened, and immediately the base shut down and sirens went crazy. They had to prepare as if the attack was from Korea and act accordingly. It was in the middle of night and I was like 11, so it was super weird. Seeing all of the people jump from the flaming towers. It was sanitized from most replays, but when the event was being shown live, you could see one person after another jump. Some would jump 5, 6 people at a time. You could see holes in the roof of a pavilion where the bodies tore through. And you could see the results on the ground, although identifying them as human was impossible. The thought of what those people must have been facing inside the towers that made jumping to their deaths the better option was horrifying. For me, it was that I just got home from army training late on September 9th and was really looking forward to relaxing with my girlfriend for the 2 days I had before classes started at university. I hadn't even unpacked my gear yet. I turned the TV on, watched the second plane hit, and my heart sank when my phone rang soon afterwards. By the end of the day, I was saying goodbye to my friends and family again. School didn't allow us to watch and teachers were told to not tell us much. By noon we thought every city had been attacked. Kids were being pulled every few minutes with a crying parent walking them out. I think we ended up leaving early, but I can't remember fully, but I do remember traffic being held up so our town and the 3 nearby could convoy nearly all fire trucks to the city to go help. Going home you could see everything burning on the skyline. Wasn't until I got home to my mom on the phone crying that I turned on the TV to see footage of the second plane hitting. Pick any one of those. It was a bad day.